everybody. Welcome to ABA Inside Track, a podcast that's like reading in your car, but safer. I'm your host, Robert Perry Cruz, and with me as always are my fabulous co-hosts.
Hey, Rob, it's me, Jackie.
And it's me, Diana. Hello.
Now, folks, you might be wondering while you're listening to your favorite, the podcast about behavior analysis and behavior analytic research, why it sounds like we're in a giant cavern.
Because we are.
Because we are.
We're in a volcano.
Your options are.
We're in a cavern.
Are we spelunking or are we at the Thompson Center for Autism Conference, which is a nice big space?
Without bats.
Without bats. There are less, you know what? I will say that about their conference. Never seen a bat here. So we gave it away.
5 stars.
It was the second one. We're at the conference, but we're in a really big space where we're sort of in between some talks and events. So we are recording a quick preview of what's coming up on the show in October. And we always think it's more fun to do these when we're somewhere cool, like at the Thompson Center conference.
So someone might just come over and be interrupting us, and we'll be like, hi.
You're on our podcast now.
It could happen.
It could happen.
So,
and that would be fun. We've had lots of lovely people come up and talk to us, people who listen to the show already, which is awesome, people who want to start listening to the show, which is also awesome. So thank you, everyone who stopped by. Some people just wanted candy, and that's okay, too.
I took some candy.
That's fine. I brought a lot.
I had a Whopper today.
Oh, I like a Whopper.
Oh, you love Whoppers.
Whoppers are so good I feel like Whoppers are only Halloween candy. Like, I don't feel like I could go buy a box of Whoppers.
Oh, really?
Like, mid-spring. Like, that doesn't feel right. But, man, during Halloween season, which it is now because it's October.
This is October.
Right? And even my neighbor has fully decorated for Halloween in September.
Wow.
Like, had
She's not
ghosts
messing
out.
around.
No, so September, October is Whopper season.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
But, Robin's eggs, those like Easter candy ones,
Yeah.
those
are
are
good.
those
But
are
they're called-
Whoppers also.
But they're called robin's eggs, so it's different.
Oh, okay.
I can eat them. But if you give me a Whopper in springtime, no. But if you give me a robin eggs, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Very good. It's the malt that makes them
Contextual
special.
candies.
The malted flavor.
They knew.
It's just like an old-timey thing.
I like all old-timey candies.
Well, before we get too far off into the candy discussion, we can save that for the errata section. Let's talk a little bit about what's coming up on the show this month.
Okay, so we have several episodes that are going to be coming out. Most of them are new, but the first one for October is actually a bonus episode. So it's going to be the recording of our Thompson Center 2023 talk, actually how topical that we're recording this preview here. So we're taking it in the Wayback Machine. Everyone can hear the release of that. However, because it was a conference talk, it's not available for CEs. It is just a bonus listen, and we slated it in now since we are doing a lot of traveling in the fall season with several conferences as well. So it gives us a chance to kind of catch our breath too.
It was a good talk though. Don't hear that and go delete from the.
Oh no,
list.
it's a great talk.
It's a talk, yeah.
It's on school refusal. I don't know if we have the episodes.
Not to brag too much about our great talk.
Articles.
But
Yeah,
it was really good. I worked very hard on it. Jackie and Diana contributed a lot to make it a much better talk than if I just talked about it for an hour, which is, again, our powers combined and all. So you are going to learn a lot about school attendance problems, school refusal, a lot of the barriers, what we know and don't know. So if you just want to learn about the topic, then that bonus is for you. And you can pretend you were with us a year ago at the conference we're currently at now. Whoa.
Yes, so that's going to be happening. And then starting in the week after that, we have some new episodes that will be coming out to you that are for CE credit, if that's what you're looking for. The first of those, we're going to have Dr. Erin Leif joining us, which is super duper exciting. She normally resides in Australia, but she happened to be in the right time zone for us to do a recording with her. So we were super excited to have her on.
In studio,
yes, exactly. We're going to be talking with her about promoting client rights and dignity. And we have several materials that she's provided to us. One of them is called 10 Ways Behavior Analysts Can Protect and Uphold the Human Rights of People with Disabilities. And that contains several resources within it. It's kind of like a working document. In addition to that, there's an article titled, I Look at Their Rights First, Strategies Used by Australian Behavior Support Practitioners to Protect and Uphold the Rights of People with Disabilities. And that is by Leif, Subban, Sharma, and Fox, published in Advances in Neurodevelopmental Disorders. fairly recently.
2024.
2024. Also, stakeholders are almost always resistant. That is a quote from the survey, just to give everyone some context.
It's not just your side comment.
Australian behavior support practitioners' perceptions of the barriers and enablers to reducing restrictive practices by Leif, Fox, Subban, and Sharma. That was in International Journal of Developmental Disabilities 2023. Up next, after that, we are going to be having a discussion with Dr. Cory Whelan to talk about skills-based training or skill-based training. That was part of the convo.
Also in person.
Also in person, that's right. Yeah, he was also in the studio, which was a super special treat. We have 2 articles we'll be discussing during that episode. They include Long-Term Effectiveness and Generality of Practical Functional Assessment and Skill-Based Treatment by Slayton, Davis, DePetris, Raftery, Danielle, and Caruso, published in the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis 2024.
2024, yep.
Also, Promoting Safety While Addressing Dangerous Behavior Via Telehealth, a clinical case investigation serving the family of an autistic adolescent living in India by Rajaraman, Whelan, Jessel, and Gover, and that was published in Clinical Case Studies 2024. So that's exciting. And then, wow, I guess it turns out October is going to be a month of guests.
I guess you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
And a bonus.
And a bonus. Yeah, lots of stuff happening. So to wrap up October, we have an opportunity to talk with the folks from How to ABA. So we went on their podcast that came out last month. So you guys can hop over to the How to ABA podcast to hear us over there just talking about our own personal experiences. And then we had Shayna and Shira come on our show to talk about ethics and how it relates to questions that new BCBAs might have regarding ethics and their new practices. So we had, that episode's going to talk about specific scenarios that came up as part of the How to ABA listenership wrote in with questions that they had, but that discussion is going to be undergirded by these articles.
What a weird word. Undergirded.
It's like really tough underwear.
That's what I was
Gross.
thinking.
No, it's like supported. Okay.
Yes, like really tough
Wait,
underwear.
don't close it out. Okay. Cultivating the Ethical Repertoires of Behavior Analysts, Prevention of Common Violations by Britton, Cray, and Hames. That was published in Behavior Analysis and Practice 2021. Disseminating Ethical Applied Behavior Analysis Within a Human Service Organization, a tutorial by Gladowski, Hockenberry, Anthony, and Hinckley. That was also in Behavior Analysis and Practice 2024. Newbie. And finally, a preliminary assessment of the qualities and behaviors of exemplary practitioners, perspectives from U.S.-based behavior analysts by Zayak, Van Straten, Ratkos, Williams, Geiger, and Palk. Behavior Analysis and Practice 2021. Yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's all. That's all
All
we've
right.
got. A lot of reading, a lot of fun, a lot of guests.
Yeah, a lot of guests. Yeah.
All right, let's move into the errata section of the show where we talk about everything else. If you thought the beginning of the section of the show was the errata section, you were wrong. It's here. So like we said, we're here at the Thompson Center for Autism Conference. Everyone's been having a nice time as always. We really always love coming out to the St. Louis area, seeing some of the folks here at the Thompson Center. I know I just finished watching and listening to the keynote on diagnostics and doing autism assessment for adults, which was a topic that I had not really thought of in close to the level of detail that was presented. So it was really exciting to just have a whole new branch of the field that I had, known existed, right, but sort of taken for granted, and to hear all the context and additional pieces of information one would need in that process was just really, really cool. Just kind of having a new perspective. So that was a really excellent talk I just came from. What about you, Jackie and Diana? I know you were able to see a lot of the talks yesterday as well.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed a talk outside of the field as well. So it was by an autistic researcher, not an autistic research, but a researcher studying autism.
Okay.
And yeah, and it was, because I have to make that distinction because there is autistic researchers here at this conference and they are presenting at the same time as we're presenting. And so I'm so bummed because that's one of the things I love about this conference is that you just don't, see the run of the mill, like, okay, we're going to talk about research and it's just going to be behavior analysis, but I love those separate tracks, right? So later this afternoon, there is a talk on how siblings who have autism have experienced the world, and I'm like really excited about that. But the talk that I saw yesterday morning was really eye-opening and provided me a lot of resources for clients that I've worked with either currently or in the past regarding resources for the non-white population. And the researcher talked about, the prevalence of autism and how we can help support the Black population who have children that have been diagnosed with autism, and why they might be diagnosed later, and what are some resources that we can do as practitioners to make sure that they still have equal access to resources and are getting the resources in a culturally appropriate way. So I thought that was really fascinating, and I got a lot of resources that I furiously bookmarked in my computer and sent to some of my families that I didn't know about. So I think that was really eye-opening for me.
That's great. And before Dinah, we hear about a talk that you really liked. Dr. Vanessa Ball was the speaker. I realized I did not say this great talk. Who gave the talk? Was it Dr. Vanessa Ball?
Yeah, and mine was the opening invited keynote, Dr. Jamie Pearson, who I think she's at she's in the Carolinas. Yeah.
Yeah. North Carolina.
Yeah.
She was an awesome speaker.
She was an awesome speaker. Yeah.
Both of these keynotes were really great.
They were, yeah.
Really, really great. So I also enjoyed both of those, but since you two took them, an exceedingly high caliber talk was one that was conducted by Dr. Malika Pritchett. And she talked on a similar topic that she did when she came on the show. So that was about the history of treatment of individuals with disabilities throughout time, I guess, but more specifically related to research practices in the psychology and behavioral sciences fields. So she reviews that content, which is really heavy content, but so important and such an important part of understanding the history of how we treat individuals with disabilities in order to best understand how we can service the clients in the field in appropriate ways. So it was a fantastic talk. She's always very inspiring as well as sobering. And if you are looking to hear her, you can hear her on our podcast. It's episode 271. She talks about social justice research practices. And she references in that as well as in this amazing book chapter that she wrote, in which she has a lovely timeline that outlines the development of ethics codes and the reasons why those have been developed in research from the beginning of the century, the last century, up through now. So you can check that out or check out that chapter directly if you can access it. It's really, really great.
Yeah. We also have some friends of the show presenting here. So Dr. Caio Miguel talking about bidirectional naming.
Even though he's never been on the show.
He's a
We've never
personal
been able to
friend.
schedule it, even though we've known him for many, many years.
And we figured out that we started to be friends 23 years ago.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That can't be. That sounds too long.
I know.
Wow.
But no,
So not a friend.
Not
I
a friend
think he
of the
is a
show.
supporter
Well,
of
he's
the show.
a friend of us, therefore, by the transitive property of podcast, a friend of the show. And then also Dr. Ditu Rajaraman, who is talking about kind of safe assessment tools, which again, he's talked about on the show, trauma-informed care.
Which he talked about on the show.
Yeah, and we talked about at the Upstate Caring Partners Conference as well. Certainly, I think that's his wheelhouse at this point. And it's always very fascinating to hear those
Great speaker.
great talk on the subject. And I think that's one that I'd like to bring up. I know I put it in our notes to talk about that topic in our year-end review. So we'll talk more about it a little bit then as well. All right, so Thompson Center will be over pretty soon. By the time you get this, you missed it. You can only hear our talk from last year. That's it. And then we have Babbitt coming up, our local conference coming up in October, where we'll be doing trivia events, which we always enjoy. Jackie, I did not get to tell you. I'm not going to tell the listeners exactly the details, but I was on a walk the other day listening to a totally unrelated to ABA podcast and had a great idea for a new trivia type that we've never done before. So it's not a revamp or an extension of what we've done, brand new.
I can't even fathom what that could be because I am not creative in this way at all. That's not what I bring to the show, so I can't wait to hear your creative idea.
And again, if you want to hear about it, we might talk about it later, but the best way is probably to, be in the Worcester, Massachusetts area and come to the trivia night where you can live it. You can live the new game we'll be playing. All right. And then I know we had a fun talk about our favorite candies, but there was something else food related I wanted to talk about, because if you've been listening to the show for more than a month, you know that in September actually it was in August, I got COVID, which means I missed 2 episodes. Something that has never happened.
It was weird.
I was so
we did
mad.
not disclose your diagnosis. We just said you were out.
You were feeling bad.
I was feeling bad because I had COVID. My voice sounded like garbage. I was on the recovery end of things. And when asked, do you want to try to zoom in and sound like garbage? The answer was, no, I'd rather lie here and just be sad. So that's what I did. But the episodes came out great without me. Did they out great
we tried.
because of without me or just without me?
We missed you.
Oh, good.
The first one was so awkward.
Oh, yeah?
You were like, how do we start the show? How do we end the show?
It's one of those things.
I tried my best, but I couldn't replicate you.
I listened. It sounded fine. It all came out.
But I couldn't replicate you. So there you go.
Okay, thank you.
You're needed. It's
one of those things
vital.
I think for us to do the show without all 3 of us, we would have to make a conscious effort. Only 2 of us will do the show forever and ever.
Yeah.
And eventually probably figure it out, but it's never going to be the same. So thank you for reiterating that I have value to the show. Appreciate that.
You do.
And I'm going to demonstrate how much value I have to the show, because I'm bringing back a well-loved by me and nobody else remembers character. That would be the Beer-haviorist.
Yes.
He's been gone for years and years, since we had our old dining room, and we did all our recordings in our dining room.
Yeah.
With the orange curtains.
With the orange curtains. Go back to some of our old YouTube videos. So the Beer-haviorist was a character created to discuss in more depth adult beverages, often beers. I think I talked about October beers. But in this case, for September, our September preview, I didn't get to be on. I wanted to talk about Diana and I's trip around the world. Around the real world? No. Around the Epcot Pavilion world.
Just the fake world.
I didn't go there because I can't wait in lines.
No. We also hate waiting in line, so we are very smart. We know all the tricks. I'd someday want to do a bonus episode on the behavior of going to theme parks. I think that would be fun for me, maybe not anyone else.
You could write a paper.
That seems like which paper, which journal will accept that paper?
Perspectives.
You never know.
Yeah. There
Maybe
might be a special issue on social group behavior.
Oh, okay. I'll look.
There actually is a lot of science
I'll keep my eyes out for
behind how
that.
one should organize a theme park.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we could talk about it. I just don't know what research there is out there.
I don't know. Maybe
Anyway, go ahead.
Attractions magazine. So anyway, we went around the world and we had an interesting drink at every location. And I, of course, kept data on what they were and some notes on what was good. So this was snacks because our children were with us and they were not able to have alcoholic drinks. But Diane and I would get a drink. We would share it with the group.
I'm just kidding.
So for folks who think we were trying to binge drink our way through Disney, no, we'd get a drink, share it with about 5 to 6 adults. This was before I got COVID.
Nah,
And not everyone
presumably.
got COVID.
No, not everybody.
No one you shared drinks with.
No one.
Except your mom.
My mom got sick. But that might, a lot of people could have caused that. It's a big park, right? So we did this across a couple days as well. But some of the highlights were in the Canada Pavilion. We had a delicious poutine.
It's my favorite.
It's really, really good.
Can I tell you a secret story about that?
Of course you can.
So I grew up on the border between the United States and Canada, and my most favorite place to get poutine was at Burger King, which is hilarious. They had the best cheese curd and the best gravy, and so I would literally go to the border, give them my license. They'd be like, "Where are you going?" And I say, "I'm going to Burger King."
Oh, so it's Canadian Burger King.
Only
It's
Canadian
Burger King. So I would go to the border. I say, "I'm going to Cornwall, Ontario," if anyone wants to know. And I go, "I'm going to the Burger King." And they'd be like, "How long will you be there?" I'm like, 15 minutes, and then I'll see you again. And so I would just go through the drive-thru and then come home.
And they'd say, "Can you get me some?"
Yeah. Well, everybody thought it was hilarious because then they'd be like, "We're going to time you." And I'm like, "I'm going to see you in 15 minutes.
Wow.
So,
Well, I don't know how it compares to the Burger King poutine, but it was very good. But while we were there, we also had the Ottawa Apple, which is sort of like a whiskey drink. It was very sweet and tasty, much like all of these drinks. I don't know how much alcohol is in them, but there was a lot of sugar. But we also got a beer because you can't go to Canada Pavilion without getting a beer.
Did you get a Molson?
No, we didn't get a Molson. We got a Moosehead.
Oh, I've had Moosehead
A
too.
Moosehead.
It's pretty good.
It was very good. It was kind of a bold tasting beer. We enjoyed it. We also went to the UK Pavilion and got a Pimm's Cup, which is gin and ginger ale. So it was delicious.
It was really good. I tried that one.
Yes. And a snake bite, which was beer and cider mixed together.
Can I tell you another story about that?
Of course, you could. Are you going to have a story about every single drink? That'd be awesome.
I studied abroad in England for a whole year, and I used to play on a rugby team, and a snake bite in black is what I used to drink when I wanted to get really drunk, because it makes you get really drunk really fast.
I mean, it's like, what if I put all the alcohol in a cup and drank it? And you know, I assume
only
they'll
need
do
one.
it. It's good, though, but they're big
They're
cups.
delicious. They're huge cups.
You get the big cups.
And then you can also pour a shot in them.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
was
that was. I like cider and
So it
beers,
turns out
so it's
I
very
also
good.
was on this
You've
trip with you.
over many years, over decades. You've also done this. In France, they have a fun drink. It's a Grand Marnier, but it's in an orange slush form. So again, it's really.
It's so good.
If you're like, you know what, I'm 21 and you have a large group of other 21-year-olds, what a great place to have all your first drinks, because they're like, very sugary baby drinks.
It was so hot there. It was just like your face felt like it was melting off. So the Grand Marnier slush was very refreshing.
And you get it in a fancy cup, so you look like a real distinguished person drinking it.
With your mouse ears on.
With your mouse ears.
Did you wear mouse ears?
Diana had some.
I
but they
did.
weren't like the official Mouseketeer ones. She just she Disney bounded the whole place, so she looked like a princess every day.
I know. I guessed.
In Morocco, we were able to get a nice sangria. I don't know if that's really special to Morocco, but that was the drink everyone online said to get. But it was good.
It was
nice,
fine.
A nice wine flavor. Japan, we could not find the sake mist, which was recommended online. So instead, my brother just grabbed a can of sake, and it was kind of gross because it was unfiltered, meaning when you got to the end of your sake, there were like chunks at the bottom. So not the funnest thing to be drinking. In Germany, going back to behaviorism, we got the pink grapefruit Hefeweizen, which I believe there's a store. I can't remember. It was like BJ's or Walmart, or there's some store that is going to be carrying some sort of a grapefruit drink sometime soon.
It is really good.
Yeah, it is a really, really good
It's like
beer.
a shandy.
Yeah, well, it
Yeah.
is a shandy. It's fruit plus beer equals shandy.
Well, there you go.
But it is very delicious if you ever get the chance to have one, which I think you can get grapefruit beers in places, but there's something about this one that it mixes the bitter beer with the sweet and sour grapefruit and makes a really good flavor. In China, we had a drink called Tipsy Ducks in Love, which I think was a tea alcohol drink. I can't remember even now, but that was...
It was late into
it was when we were
the
starting
list.
to, you always think there's so much time on our vacation, and even so, it's like, quick, we got to grab these drinks real fast. The kids are getting restless. In Norway, we could talk about how we had a Viking coffee, which is, kind of a strong liquor in a coffee, and it's frozen or not frozen. It's pretty yummy. But instead, I'd rather talk about all the pastries they had there. Kak, which is like a cake, but that's how it's pronounced. And a school bread, which is like a filled piece of bread with like kind of like a pudding inside of it, which was really, really good. It outshone the liquor. And then finally, we had a nice dinner in the Mexico Pavilion, which if you've never been to Epcot, it's like being inside, you go inside this kind of Aztec temple, and it looks like nighttime. You're like a little town at nighttime. It is probably one of the best sort of themed restaurants at Epcot, I would say. Love going there. You have your 3 Caballeros boat ride going past you at all times.
It's quite convincing. You do kind of feel like you're outside.
And we had the El Diablo margarita, which is a margarita with like jalapeno tequila, which is not everyone's favorite, but I'm a big fan of the spicy margarita drinks. And since no one else wants to drink them, I usually get that one all to myself, unlike all the rest of these drinks. So anyway, that is a quick rundown of the fun behaviorism you can engage in while at Epcot Pavilion.
Thanks,
and then you
Rob.
can go on that new Guardians Galaxy ride, which spins you around, and you can go throw up afterwards. Tons of fun for everyone.
That ride was great.
It was a lot of fun. Except for the first time when it didn't work for a while, and we just sat there wondering, is this what the ride's like? And then it went. Anyway, that's what I was going to talk about in September. So now you get an extra long October.
Okay. Very good.
All right. And since we wanted to make sure we wrap this up before we start getting a lot of people walking around, making this audio even harder to hear, I think that's going to do it for our October preview. You heard about candy. You heard about all sorts of talking about spirits for 5 minutes, me right here. And our episodes all coming out this month. Hopefully we'll see some of you at Babbitt coming up next month, or actually this month when the recording is coming out. But we'll have the first of those episodes out next week. In the meantime, you can always find us online at ABA Inside Track or patreon.com/ABA Inside Track. But with that, have a good spooky season. I hope you're enjoying some of the fall festivities. If you're in an area of the country that has, those historic fall festivities or classic fall festivities. And we'll be back next week with our first fun-filled episode. But until then, keep responding. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.